mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. You know I be on a what? Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah.
What's up? Welcome to another exciting adventure of Ride the Rebellion podcast. I am Drew Hall, and with me today, I sounded kind of surprised.
It's very Michael Buffery.
Michael, I don't know who that is.
What?
I don't watch sports ball.
It's the dude that does all the ringside things.
Oh, I only know the dapper. I only know wrestling guys.
Michael Buffer's never done wrestling?
I don't think so.
He should.
Is that the let's get ready to rumble?
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Oh, Jestina.
Jestina.
Oh,
Just
my
look.
God.
She failed.
Everybody's
Look,
ears.
We bring one person with a nose ring, and you just ruined it. Look at her. Uncomfortable and ruined it.
Oh, man.
So we got to do it again.
Yet?
We're 937 episodes into this podcast.
I can't tell. Yep. Yeah, your one cheek is redder than your other cheek.
Is it just because you can see it better?
It's the embarrassment. We're 1,000 episodes in. We've never made a mistake, Justina. You're one in. And all of a sudden.
We all know
this
that's
is
not real.
a quality start. This is like a top five start. Welcome to another exciting episode of Ride the Rebellion podcast. I'm your host, Drew Hall, not Michael Chiklis. What'd you say his name was?
Michael Buffer.
Not Michael Buffler.
Buffler. He's got...
And with me today is the man that puts the voice in Michael Buffer. Dale Boyd of Dale Boyd Voice Management.
I don't even know where to go from here, but straight down.
I have no clue.
I don't know. It's we need to get Michael Buffer on because I think he would change things in here.
What do you think? Like, sir, hello, sir, Michael Bublé, would you please? Speaking of Bublé, we would like to thank our newest sponsor, Bubbly. That is not true.
That'd be awesome.
We do have some bubbly. We do have an unofficial barley wine. I wish. Unofficial barley pop sponsor. Our barley pop sponsor is brought to you by
Dirt Coaster Academy. Dirt Coaster had this made by Gnarly Barley. It's for them. Yeah, it's called Gear Me. They got their Dirt Coaster logo on there. It's really good beer. So if you're over in the Louisiana area,
or
pick yourself up. Yeah, or take a class. Maybe you could grab some there.
It's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good lager.
It is really
impressed.
good. Yeah.
It is.
It's a good post-ride beer for sure.
100%.
Yeah, it's great to have in the parking lot with your bros or girls.
Or hoes. Let me cut over to you. There we go.
Oh, man.
So Jestina is joining us on the podcast for no other reason than because she was in the room. Welcome to the show. What can you tell us about mountain biking?
It doesn't have kickstands.
She
We'll go back to her in a
young
minute
Jedi.
for more questions. We can't play the games with her with our sponsors, so we'll just go over those and see if we can play a little game me and Dale like to call Segway Off.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I feel like
What
Paul
kind of a
Blart-
podcast do you guys have going on here?
We do a lot of strange things.
Yeah. Speaking of strange things, if you've never tried Lucky Shot coffee out of a sock, you're missing out on one of the... I don't know what that means.
You were going good
I
with
was desperate to try and get ahead in the game. But I would
You were
shout out
going
Lucky
well.
Shot coffee. You know, sadly, I have not had Lucky Shot in about a month, and that's not because of any other reason than I am lazy. Maybe I need to drink more caffeine in order to position myself in a better way of getting Lucky Shot. But you can also head over to LuckyShotCoffee.com and order some. And literally the owner of the company, Shannon, is the wife of John, who's been on the show, friend of the show. Mm-hmm. She bags that coffee herself. Maybe even John bags it. And if John bags it, you may get some other little bags inside the bag. I'm just kidding.
Happy bags.
I'm just kidding.
It's totally
There's
a
no
joke. The
happy bags. The dogs can't smell coffee, so you're fine.
The coffee's from Colombia. The contents might not be. May or may not.
100% Colombian coffee.
Maybe.
Drugs from beginning to end. No, if you have a chance, head over to LuckyShotCoffee.com and give it a shot. It is quite delicious coffee. And it's one of the things that I really enjoy about our sponsors is that we stand behind them. Like the stuff we actually talk about is something that matters. Now, in fairness, the only one that we can't really talk about is Kevin Black from Man of War Tattoo, because I would argue that Dale's tattoo
is the best.
It's not necessarily a great reproduction of his work.
No,
It's
not
good work.
No, it's amazing work. It's just not a great reflection of his talents.
Yeah.
His talent.
Morgan was like the Sasquatch this time.
No, his talent was good. His talent was great. But it's stick figures.
It is a stick figure, and so it is not necessarily. But if you go look at like Kevin's sleeves, if you go look at like all the work he's done, if you go follow
for my
them
wife,
on,
he did good work for my wife. A butterfly.
And if you go over to, they changed it. He changed his name on Instagram.
Oh, he's got tired of all the shit we sent him.
Yeah, probably. He didn't want it anymore. I don't even know where to find him anymore. He changed it. It changed.
You want me to look?
It's probably manofwartattoo.com.
Yeah, just go to manofwartattoo.
If you go to manofwartattoo.com, you can find it there.
Yeah. If you want to find his personal page, first of all, you're creepy. Second of all, he's probably out there too.
Yeah. I just noticed the peaking is on, so you have red eyes.
Ooh, bring it to...
How do I turn that off? Let's see. Menu.
I don't know you.
I got to turn it off. Like, it's weird looking. You would be very mad at me. Focus is just off. Is that gone? No, it's still there.
Maybe I just have red eyes. I got some of that Lucky Shot coffee.
It's very... HDMI. Focus is... Yeah, no. Sorry, guys. We Dale Boyd Sports Management had like demon eyes.
That's fine. I'm like what was that, Zoltan from Big?
Yeah, Zoltan.
Zoltan. There you go. Yeah, something like that.
No, because I'm thinking of Zatarans, or I'm thinking of Zartan, and that's G.I. Joe. Remember that guy with the face?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Speaking of G.I. Joe, I don't have one. I don't even know.
I mean, if you're training to go to be a G.I. Joe, you should probably stop off at Run and Try and get yourself some new running shoes so that you can capture the enemy. What does that even mean?
The enemy is fatness. I mean, what? Laziness?
You can conquer the enemy, and it is laziness. That is good. You could get some goose while you're there. Maybe fill up your pockets for the long, extended journeys through the jungles.
Get the right kind of goose.
I don't know that we're fighting too many jungle wars these days.
I think we're mostly not in that.
No. Again,
if you have a chance, today is D-Day. And when we think about D-Day, I think about Dirt Coaster. That is awful.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, my God.
Now it's almost a joke. You know?
That's terrible.
I should have said, are you ready to bomb? Are you ready to bomb the slopes of the French Alps? Then think no further than Dirt Coaster Academy. I mean, that's as offensive as we could possibly make a brand.
Seriously, we are thankful for our veterans that did everything for us.
My grandfather D-Day +4, but not a joke. It is D-Day. We're recording this. That doesn't necessarily matter.
No.
That dates the show. But in actuality, what does matter is, as Dale mentioned, the beer is very good. But Dirt Coaster Academy, as I've said before, it benefited me. But more importantly, let's ask that person. How'd it go?
Jestina, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. He taught me how to sit on it in a proper position.
What?
If anybody follows this show, you know that we all raised our hands, and if you even understand what that means, then
now would be a proper time to explain who you're married to.
It's okay. I'm married to a woman.
Thank you very much.
That's right.
No, but what was your so you let's take this time to say this. Have you ridden a bike before? And when was the last time you rode a bike? Not counting the time you borrowed Dale's wife's bike.
Am I right?
Okay, are we talking about like any bike in life or a mountain bike?
No, I think any bike in life.
So I've ridden a bike. Like when I was a kid, I had a bike. Now, as an adult, I have not ridden a bike in probably about 15 years because I have not had one. So I just never did.
So then when you took the dirt coaster class, that was the first time you had been on a bike, or it doesn't matter, but a bike in general in 15 years?
No, because you and I rode one time. So
that was Dale's bike.
Yeah.
Yes. Dale's wife's bike on the same trails at South that we were next to. And then that was the second 15, yeah. So
what was your takeaway? I got to mute some stuff. What was your takeaway on riding now, having gone through a class? You did your first group ride. What is your takeaway like on what you learned and all that kind of stuff?
I stand more than other people, and working out means nothing because I was incredibly out of breath.
Yeah, I think people often miss the idea, like, it's not even just, I mean, that was a trail ride, but even then, if you're not riding regularly, I think people miss, when you first get into it, you miss the idea of like, it could be kind of brutal.
I think that the more time you spend on a bike, you learn how to be more efficient, right? So what you're saying, when you stand more than everyone else, you'll learn that setting down and having the bike do what it wants to while you're just pedaling, instead of standing up and using all of your body to try to climb, or, you know, and that comes with shifting. It comes with experience of riding, but it's like efficiency. And then you get to like, oh, I need more efficiency. And then you get clipless pedals. And then it's like, oh, I need more efficiency. And you're like, damn, I got to start working out more, or I need more cardio. So that's the progression side of it will be like that. Should be.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was say, I do think the next part that I don't know what all classes they teach further from there, but shifting would have been a good thing to discuss as well. Because I don't know the benefits of shifting up or down, whether I'm going up or down. Like, I have to figure it out. That's going to be the next thing I focus on. Because I did not really shift in my trail ride. I stayed like in the same place.
Yeah, she was like a single gear ride.
Yeah, shifting is all on feel. There's no, I mean, I can't tell you how you feel, right? You're going to shift when your legs feel tired, you shift. Like now, I don't think about shifting. It just
I only
happens.
think about it when my shit goes click, 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 click,
Yeah,
click,
right.
click,
Yeah.
It's not jumping everywhere.
Yeah, but like my finger is attached to my legs basically in a weird way. So like whenever my legs feel it, I shift.
But at some point, you had to think about it.
I don't know. I don't remember thinking about it. I think it was just always like, my legs hurt, I got to shift and make this easier. You're going to go to like what's easier. I think that's what you have to get used to. Like right now, you're probably so focused on staying on the trail and not falling off.
But in fairness, you came from a derby background, and roller derby, there is only one speed.
Right.
You're single gear. So basically, she's been trained to ride fixie like her entire life, right? Because
with no brakes, hardly.
With no brake, right. No, I've seen her. She does this weird skid thing.
It's a roller derby. There's multiple ways to brake, actually, if you're roller skating.
Much of it is smashing into another person's face.
And there are different ways to, so I would almost argue that, because there's different ways to take off when you start skating, which could be considered speed. So you would obviously do it smart for what you're trying to accomplish, which I feel like is very similar to mountain biking. There's a lot of similarities between the two, both in how I sit on the bike and how I move my body to take corners.
It's because your core muscles are engaged all the whole time. Mm-hmm. And that concludes our roller derby podcast. Thank you. It's the only one ever recorded.
Hey, this is Drew with Derby Dudes. Have you ever?
Oh God, is that a thing?
Are you?
Yeah, it is now.
They're the bronies of Derby.
Oh God,
Derby Dudes, Derby Druids.
You didn't just make that up? That's a thing?
A brony?
No. I know what that is.
The Derby Dudes.
The Derby Dudes.
Yeah, I just made it up.
Okay, good. Because I was really proud of you.
Well,
And then
if you Google it,
it
it could be like little short dudes that are jockeys.
Oh, that's true. But it could also be like some other
like
weird
Kentucky Derby dudes,
position.
Yeah, I was trying to be.
If it's roller derby related, is it just the husbands of the wives that are really powerful and dangerous?
Or weird dudes.
Yeah,
because it does seem you just basically said that Derby people are all heterosexual in nature, and I don't think that's a fair statement.
My wife and I
zoom in on right now. Zoom and enhance.
My wife and I were the only two people at the time that I was on the team that were.
Well, aren't I a bigot?
I was gonna say lesbian,
you
but gay.
stereotyped all derby chicks.
You did.
I mean, when I go in and they're all bigger than me, whatever.
Well, we have fallen off the rails. Luckily, nobody from Derby listened to this show.
They will once I share it.
They're not going to listen to it.
We love you all. Life. We're scared. You guys are on 2 wheels, 4 wheels, whatever. How many wheels?
8 altogether.
Yeah, well, I'm scared to death of it.
Well, we have that divided by 2 minus 4. I don't know what any of that means. Is that Aaron Friesmeyer calling?
No, my wife must have seen our live. She's like, "Oh, holy shit, Batman!"
Oh, well, that's kind of nice.
We
really have no agenda for today's show other than
I got a couple things I want to get off my chest, but I'll keep that for later.
We'll tee them up here in a second. That'll be fun. I had a couple of questions. The biggest one is, are you planning? You don't know enough about it. In fact, one day, I'll have to look and see when the schedule is. One day we may watch a UCI race here because there's sometimes that the races show up. But my thing was, which is downhill.
Okay.
The cross country's fun too, but the downhill stuff is exciting because it's like, oh man, even the women's like, this is it. They get one race. Turns out, though, he was right. He had a lot of women. Inside baseball, folks. They get one shot downhill, and they're going fast as F boy. Like, I mean, it's crazy fast, and they outride everybody in the world. But a lot of times in the women's category, the challenge is like there's really like 3 or 4, and then the rest of the women, like the differences are insane, like the time difference. So you'll have like the bottom 20. It's not even 20, is it? 15?
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever they come out to. So the bottom 15, the time gap is like 2 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes. And then like the tops, the elite get in. And seriously, the spread between the last person is like 20 minutes. Like it's not that big, but I mean, it's insane the amount of time.
It is crazy though. Like from the top 10 guys, there's this pretty big gap too.
Yeah. Well, especially if you get to watch more. Now,
yeah,
I think
the top 10 dudes are fast.
Oh, that's insane.
So fast.
The reason I bring all this up is to say, I was talking to Bruce today. Shout out to Bruce. But I was talking to Bruce today, and we were talking about getting the content. He has GCN. Mm-hmm. The other place you can watch it is on Discovery. GCN cost X amount of dollars. It's in my Facebook feed. I'm getting blown up with ads for that shit.
It's in mine now that you said it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
My phone's around.
And then the other one is Discovery Plus, but there's not much on. I don't care about like all those dumb reality shows. They're not real anyway. So are you thinking about purchasing, or would you consider? Listen, don't avoid hack management over here.
Well, I mean, I would consider it because I enjoy watching it, and maybe because this is the first iteration of how Discovery's going to handle it. I want to see how it goes. Or GCN. But before we had it on Red Bull TV, for those of you that don't know, and Red Bull had great coverage.
The biggest one being Rob Warner for me.
Yeah, I mean, Rob was the best. His energy, his ability to call is like watching a Super Bowl with a certain, like who you want to be calling the Super Bowl. You know, like that's every race, every Saturday is the same way. And it's like, you know, there's sporting events that you watch that you hear a voice. And you could be in the other room and you know it's a big game because of who's doing.
John Madden, for example.
Yeah, John Madden or anybody. Yeah. You know it's a big game because of whoever's voice you hear.
Belcher, what's his name?
It was definitely Belcher. I don't remember much, but it was definitely Belcher.
I don't think
the
so.
Ready to Rumble guy.
Yeah.
Mike Felcher?
Michael Buffer.
I can't believe you can't remember that name.
Yeah. So, but that is the thing with Rob Warner is now he's tied to the sport of downhill.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they change it.
And he called stuff. It's funny to me because he called stuff like straight up pair pursuit, like what he called for the men when it was exciting for them. Mm-hmm. He gave the same energy for the women riders when he did those a few times that I heard him do it. And then if I even have gone back and watched older stuff, especially with like Greg Menard and stuff, and you go back listening to that, Rob's energy was the same then, and that was 10 years ago or whatever it was. And it just keeps going. To have somebody that exciting, I feel like it's going to be missed. Now, I spoke to somebody that's been watching some of the early races, and they were like, it's garbage. They just don't like it. So it bums me out a bit. I
mean, that's the thing with Rob is like he is a fan of the sport.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to call it in real time.
Yeah.
You and I are the fans of the sport, but we'd be like, oh my God, look at that rock. Yeah. And then we're like, by the time we get that out, he's 5 minutes down the trail.
Wait. I want to just have us call them out. Like, let's record them and then you get Ride the Rebellion.
We should do that.
Post-review version. And it's just like, oh my God, look at that rock.
We can.
Oh, look at him go.
So if you guys need help with that, I learned in my class that you're not looking ahead. You guys are just looking at the tire in front of you.
Smart ass.
I'm looking
ahead at that rock that's going to eat my face when I
a lot of times, like, my ego's so big that I'm trying to go so fast that I don't have time to look down. I'm looking like 3 trees ahead, for real, because I'm going fast.
Talking about if you called it out.
Oh, if I called it, I'd be like, oh, I can do that. Definitely. That ain't nothing. Why didn't he double that?
That is definitely a Dale. I could do it.
That backflip's like the turn down of Red Bull Rampage.
Shout out to Todd.
Stupid. That is fun.
That's a classic quote. So I don't know if I'll buy it. Part of me is like, man, I think I really enjoy the Saturday mornings.
Let's just find somebody that has it.
Yeah, but that's 6 a.m. I'm going to be rolling up in your house at 6 a.m.
That's fine. I'll be drunk already. It's Sunday mornings.
Is it Sundays?
I don't know. I run at Holla and go drink.
You're right. It is Sunday mornings.
Usually.
Yeah, you're right.
But nonetheless, we can at least...
I got Dirt Church.
We can check it out and see if it's worth buying.
Yeah. Fair point.
I know a person that can get it.
Okay, I'll cut off of you, then you can win, okay? Yeah, I just wanted to see if I don't know what the community's take on it is. If you're looking at it, what are you guys' thoughts? We'd love to hear it in the comments. You can always hit us up on Ride the Rebellion on all the social channels and all that good stuff. You can just flop over there and give us your thoughts. You don't really have a thought because you have no idea what we're talking about.
You showed me clips of it last year. The guy is retiring, correct?
Oh yeah, I showed you Greg.
Yeah.
I sure did. Because he's like the GOAT. Like he's considered the greatest. And then I don't know, Aaron Gwynn's pretty good.
I was gonna say Aaron Gwynn's good.
I kind of wanted to figure out. I thought about this earlier. I kind of wanted to see if we could figure out a way to make like a fantasy. Because if you did a fantasy draft, because there's technically a way to run it, and so you'd get 3 riders, and then yeah.
I'm part of the degenerate fantasy gambler world. I'm betting there is one. Like they gamble on everything. So I bet you there is a fantasy.
I think it'd be fun though. But if
I've played fantasy bass fishing before.
No, you haven't.
I swear to God.
How does that even work?
You have to get fishermen, and they have to catch fish, and you can win. Like I'm telling you, they have it for everything.
Deal boy, bass management.
Yes, Bass Masters Management, where we have
What's
all
your
your
degree in? I got a master's in bass.
just the baiting part.
God.
There's a lady in the room.
She doesn't. I mean, she's in here when she's not on camera.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. So, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see if you have thoughts or comments. Just jump over there. What you got going on?
We had a good conversation with the Sorba leader last week.
Yeah. If you guys haven't heard that, the Philip Darden interview is pretty good.
It's pretty legit, and it touches all of you in the communities somewhere, right? Like every one of you that listen to this.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, every one of you that listen to this live in a mountain bike community, or you should be cultivating your mountain bike community somehow, some way. And if you're not cultivating it, you're bitching about it. And if you're bitching about it, it's because you're not cultivating it, right? Like, we're learning that we have put ourselves out on the line, out on the edge, like like in the forefront of everyone. Other people have too. The soft member definitely put his neck out on the line to try to grow things. But there's a group of people, and I don't know if you could even like pinpoint these people, but they just are waiting for us to F up or waiting for us to fail.
Right.
And it's like, but why?
Right.
Like, do you not ride your bike on trails? Yes, you do. Okay. Why do you get excited about our failures or people's complaints? Like, just go fix it.
Yeah.
Or help us figure out. We're not perfect. We're volunteering. We're trying to learn this together.
I can't reveal where this came from, but I had a conversation and with a couple of different people, but one of them was like what they told me was the numbers that they had, and they were a fairly decent sized group, much like Samba is. We're a pretty decent sized number.
Yeah, 200 people.
Yeah. And their trail day number was not great either. Like they had a trail day and their numbers was less than, how many percentile would that be? 10% would be.
It was probably
3 to 5%.
It was probably 3%.
3%. She was on the call.
That's
3%. That is ridiculous. 3% shows
I guarantee
up.
they have 60% on their private Facebook group of bitching about the trail situation.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's exactly the case. It is an issue that I think is important. Is that like it's not. It's one thing to say like, "Hey, I'm dissatisfied with certain things." I get that.
We did it. We started a trail because we were dissatisfied.
I mean, it was kind of weird. Like I didn't want to bring it up in front of like. I mean, because Philip has listened. We talked we talked a lot of trash. So young Jestina. Here's the issue that some of us have with the IMBA situation. IMBA is the parent body.
Okay.
Do you have that in roller derby? Do you have like a
WFTDA?
I'm sorry.
Women's Flat Track
WFTDs?
Derby
Titties?
Association.
Say
WFTDA.
That sounds like titties.
But yes, we do.
So in this situation, you have the parent group, and then you have a subchapter like what yours is, but then there's a regional and all that stuff. The issue that we run into is where a lot of us get frustrated is our money goes to the subchapter or goes to our local chapter. Some of that then gets carved out to our regional chapter, and then of that it gets carved out to the parent chapter. Well, the parent chapter is taking the most, and it drips back down. We literally called that out on the show multiple times. That's half the frustration of us jumping ship to go that direction, and that's because we wanted to build stuff on our own. We didn't want to just sit around and you haven't been to the Reb, but we wanted to build trails that were different than what South has to offer. Because while South is challenging to you right now, for a lot of us, it's not the jumps and the whoops that we're trying to get. It's just that it's the same thing.
I was like, it's the same track over and over and over and over and over and over.
We just wanted something different. And I think we all wanted to build. We wanted to learn to build. And I can't learn to build on public property. That is dangerous as it possibly could be. So for us, it was like, hey, if we screw up over here, then all that happens is Drew still has a giant whelp on his leg. It won't go away.
But I think it's like what had happened from it was, we tried to build a trail system, but in turn we built more community because all the guys that hang out there and gals are closer and friends.
Yeah.
And so like now we can take that community that we built with that and go be like, hey, we're going to go meet over at South and do a bunch of work. And everybody's going to do it.
But it goes back to the same thing of like, if you're just going to, like I've said this before on the show, that our local chapter, and maybe there's other local chapters out there that feel this way. Ironically, ours gives us an acronym that is not pleasant. I know it doesn't make people happy, the soft member happy, but like something another member bitches about, which is Samba.
Yeah.
Like that's the name of our group, because a lot of times that's what the Facebook became, is this series. If you're bitching about it and doing nothing, like you're worthless. You're not a member of the community.
It's just
at that
toxic,
point,
right?
Right? You're just being toxic. You are literally Kid Rock with some Bud Lights. That was too easy. It's right there.
That was too easy. And we're not calling any one person out. This is this is a general statement. Like if you, we don't put out. We're not. I post as much as I can. The transparency is as transparent as you want it. I know that everybody thinks we hold back information like Samba. I say we as in Samba. We are giving you all the information we have. There's nothing we are holding back from, because people are like, well, I know they're building trails at Chicxulub. No, they're not. Okay. Right. Like the county is doing,
that is like such a fantasy.
I know it is. It's like the soft member has advised the county and the leadership of the county for a year and a half now. And they have taken all of his advisement and gone a different direction.
Right.
And they've done what they're going to do. And if you live in Mobile County, you know this shouldn't be a surprise to you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we only have to be happy with what we have. We are just trail users, not landowners. So you can't expect us to be like, well, and now, I see people that are like, well, Samba dropped the ball and Samba did it. No, Samba didn't. We are not the landowners. We did what we could. We presented them with the information from other cities and things like that. And it's like, we can't do everything. So I just get frustrated because we took over Samba in a very like downtime. Like no one, it was all negative, very negative. The whole opinion of it. Alan pressed and stepped on some toes and did some things that I had to pick things up from, and it's cool, but all in the name of progress. Right.
Right.
And I get so tired of hearing like, or people watching, trying to wait for us to fail. And I get so tired of people like, well, it used to be like this, or the old people did it like this, or it was so great. Like, if it was so great, why'd we have 40 members? We have 200 now.
Right.
It wasn't that great. Like the trails Chicxulub was cool in the 90s, but that was the 90s. It hasn't progressed since the 90s. Guess what? We have phones now. We have different bikes now. We can even drive our cars to the trails now.
Right.
And so it's like, you have to be willing to progress, and we are all nostalgic, right? No one likes change. Everybody, I have no problem with the trail builders.
I don't like to ride the same thing.
No, but I have no problem with like recognizing the people that were here before us. But I have no problem with like saying they did it, they laid the groundwork. But I also don't want to sit here and like patronize them so much that we can't move on forward.
Right.
Right. Like we have to be willing as a community and as a culture to say thank you for what you did for us. But guess what? We're going to take the torch now. You're going to have to step aside because your style and methods, like your Ragnarok thing, right?
Yep.
It's going to happen where your style, methods, and strategy aren't working. Right. We've got to go a different direction. It's going to hurt some feelings. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
But you have to be willing to let people do that. Let them take the torch.
So that's a big takeaway there.
By the way, also, last thing, if somebody wants the torch from me, I'm cool. Come get it.
Yeah, but that was like a big takeaway from Philip, was having this conversation about, and I can relate this back to Jestina in a second, is that stepping away, or the regime change that happened even in the Sorba side is a shift towards a different direction.
That's right.
And I think it's important that not any leader be in the same spot for too long, because there's a couple things that happen. Some of it is like apathy kicks in, and once you start to get apathetic and you just don't give a fuck anymore, like it's real tough to see change happen. So I think even talking to like Chase, who constantly is the opposite of apathetic. He is just the most motivated, but even he recognizes that at some point it's going to shift. It's the same way that's why I talk about Ragnarok. At some point it ends. I know for a fact you, on an unfortunate, I don't care if you don't want to talk about it, we're going to talk about it anyway. Okay. I'm a boss. I'm going to make you. But you were in a position of being the president of your organization and had to step away eventually.
From roller derby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the president through COVID. I got in right before COVID happened, and it was like 3, almost 4 years. And you do hit a point where you get so burned out, and then you'll come in with these ideas, you'll have these things to implement, and you get all that pushback from all the people who are negative that tell you something won't work because they tried it, or that's not how that needs to be. And while that is the case, things do change. For example, the world changed. Like, we went through COVID. Things are different now. So the approaches that may not have worked 2 years ago might be exactly what we need now. But unless you get that support, it's so hard to do it, and you just get that pushback, but nobody wants to help. No. And so I just hit that point where I was like, it wasn't fun anymore. I didn't enjoy it.
Well, and I think the people change, right? Like, I've talked to people that when I first started mountain biking in this community that haven't been biking that much, but they want to get back into it, or vice versa, whatever, that are like, I don't even know anybody anymore. I'm like, no, because it's all different people. Because at different times, people, biking is we are a very, very small minority. And I say this a lot to our friends, like, we can't expect everyone to have the same passion we do, right? Like, we are passionate. This is our lifestyle. Yep. And now, like, it's what we do daily. We think about biking, or we think about shirts with bikes, or like whatever it is. And so there's a lot of people that only have time to go bike one day a week. I don't expect them to go do trail work on their one day. I don't expect it. Right. But I also don't expect them to be like, why is this not done?
Right.
You know, like, we don't have time either. You know,
yeah, I mean, I think it's a balancing act, which is like all of it. Like, I'm an owner of a business. She's an employee in the business. You're a freelancer for me. I don't expect either of you to put in the same amount of time as me. You're never going to be able to touch it the same level as me, simply because I'm going to sit here and say, I'm going to stay as busy as humanly possible because my brain won't let me just sit static.
Right.
So, like, I'll jump from one idea to the next. They talk about, I come in hot all the time where I'm just like raging mad about something this morning. And I come in and I send an email and then I follow it up because my brain is constantly thinking about how this works, and I have responsibilities beyond. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes leadership gets to that same spot, like in any organization, where you know what the future is, you can see it, but the frustration kicks in when the rest of the people aren't on that same level of it, because to them that's too far away, or they haven't considered it.
Right.
And so we get into that same cycle of just running in circles about.
Well, we also have that thing where, like, if you say something and don't do it, like, that's bad. If you say something, you're afraid. A lot of people are afraid to say anything because they think it obligates them to doing something. Right. So it's like, I'm asking, as somebody that wants to do things, to bring your information to me. What do you want done? Not like trail wise, but like, what do you think would make your bicycling better? Yeah. Like, I don't have all the ideas or the answers, but I also don't want to be criticized behind my back for not doing something I didn't even know. Like,
it's all the problems, none of the solutions.
Right.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's like, if you got all the answers and you're sitting on your Facebook telling everybody all the answers that Samba's not doing, I'd love to hear them. I've put it out multiple times.
I think that
everything does.
Specifically talking to Philip and then some other people I've been chatting, every organization runs in that same game, which is like the sort of autonomy of the internet lets people say whatever the hell they want, however they want, whenever
Speaking
they
of,
want.
we have our own platform, by the way.
I mean, we're literally doing it right now.
Did you know we had a podcast?
Yeah, we have a podcast.
So I don't know what the answer is. One of the things that I thought was interesting is within any of these organizations, the goal is, check the segue, the goal is to bring more people in, because if you do bring more people in, it's kind of like, it's almost like, in some cases it's a transfusion, which is what originally happened. Yeah, in other cases, it's just adding blood to it. Maybe the bloodline was low. Maybe like the energy was low. So new people bring new energy to it.
I think you did that when you came into the scene. Like, I was starting to get like kind of burnt to the point where it was like, dude, I've been pressing this gas pedal for a long time, and I didn't have, like, I had friends that rode with me a lot and friends that wanted to do things but didn't have that same energy or drive that I did. That like, hey, we're not just going to talk about something, we're going to do it. Yeah. Like, let's just not sit around in our trucks and be like, hey, this would be cool to do. Like, no, you maybe help me. Like, maybe I lean on you to say, like, damn, I can do this.
But I came in hot.
Yeah, you came in hot. Yeah.
He only comes in hot.
That's right. Yeah. He came in with.
I just came straight.
He like brought my kryptonite camera. I'm like, what do you think? Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to do whatever you want from that thing.
The reason I say that is because what I thought would be, I just have a couple of questions. Because we can't get this from somebody. We've only had 2 women on the podcast.
That's right.
12% of our audience. And by the way, Canada, thank you for listening. You're 1% of our audience. We are very grateful. Oh, Canada. I don't know how to sing your theme song.
Hail Canada. Is that a thing?
I don't think it's hail.
I think
it's Oh, Canada.
Oh.
Is it Oh, Canada, my Canada?
You lived closer to Canada than us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're more Canadian.
The sad part is you're closer to real mountain biking than we'll ever be, genetically speaking.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And eventually I will be better than Dale.
Since you're the only other, so far, identified as a female on the show, I do have questions.
Yeah.
You went to a class, and this is not a knock on Toby and company. It's the reality of our situation. Philip said the same. You went to a class that was mostly dudes.
And it was the only other female for the first class was a child. And she, dare I say, did better than me. But it's okay.
Don't ever let that book, because like the kids.
Oh, it doesn't bother me.
They don't
I'm just saying,
fear.
I hope she continues because she did really well.
She hit the big jumps.
Yeah, she was hitting some big jumps.
So when you got there, though, like, obviously you evaluate a child different, but then you're there with a bunch of dudes.
Oh, do you want to hear about my interpretation when I showed up?
Yes.
Yeah, that's even better because it was. I always wondered when
because
you said
I'm going to set this up. I want to hear it, but there's a reason for it.
And to even set it up further, she didn't know anyone.
No.
Right.
So I knew nobody.
Even better.
Oh, that's even worse.
There was nobody. I was pulling up. There was nobody there I knew because
we were neither
not there.
We were recording
neither of
the
you
podcast.
were there, and I didn't recognize anybody. I've never met Toby. I don't know any of these people. So I get out. It's the first time I put my bike in my car by myself. So I was like, all right, just get your bike out without dropping it. Like simple things that you guys probably just do out of mechanics. I'm like, don't embarrass yourself.
But we've all been are on our first group event.
Yeah.
So
I'm not in a freaking class.
No, we should have been at a class.
Yeah, probably.
did all that. Almost brought my roller derby helmet. I probably should wear it because it's probably more protective. But we have a biking helmet, just like a regular one. So I was like, I'll take that instead.
Quick aside, for those that don't know what a biking helmet is, that would be a Schwinn Walmart special. Which any of us see, he's laughing. Look,
He's judging me.
I know what he was doing.
You should have just wore the roller derby.
But I would have been the only, like, it's a rounded helmet
That's
because you
fine.
have to be able to put, no lie, the thing that you put on it, it's called a panty. So anyway,
Of course it is.
so I get everything ready, and then I hear, as I'm standing by my car, just awkwardly killing time, there's a group on one side talking about Dale in some context about like Samba. There's a group over on the other side talking about Dale, about a podcast. Okay, I'm not kidding. All I can hear is different groups of people talking about Dale. And it's like, okay, all right, this is what we're doing. So then I got like over next to Toby. They were fixing my seat because it's not a dropper, so they had to get it lowered. And we end up getting back together and we're doing introductions. And I get in at the end of it, and then he pointed at me. I was like, oh, is it my turn? I was like, well, my name is Jestina. I've ridden that trail once. I've ridden this bike twice for less than 5 minutes, and I'm here to get better than Dale. Because I felt like the best way to make friends with dudes is to trash talk. So
I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It worked.
And she met Scotty. Scotty Too
Scott.
Hottie. So here's my thing though. So that's what you stepped in. But from as somebody who I know well enough because I share an office with you, we work together a good bit. Did you not find you weren't anxious by that at all? I mean, was there not a spike of like? I mean, you're the only female minus a child stepping into a group of dudes. Do you think that is like, if that hadn't been a class and it was a group ride? If you were just there to ride with those guys, what is that going to be like for you?
Just to ride. So to put that question into context, I did go to that group ride this last Thursday. It was a ladies ride, and there were guys, and I was nervous about that. And I knew you, and I kind of knew Carrie because I had met her before, but I didn't know anybody else. That made me anxious, and I knew people. So if we were talking about like I showed up and all those people were just riding, and I was going to ride with them, I probably would have waited and gone by myself.
Which is far more dangerous when you're a new rider.
Probably. I will not
Yeah,
do that because
right.
I don't think I'll ride by myself for a while until I get used to it, just in case something happens. But I would have been so intimidated, I probably would have waited.
I think that is seriously the hardest part for males or females mountain biking.
But my point in bringing this up is that's the reality.
It is the reality.
Like that's the thing that like we talk about all this stuff. We have all these people saying these things. They have all these studies and all this other stuff. And at the end of the day, it still comes down to male or female, boy or girl, whatever you identify as. It doesn't matter if you walk into a group that you don't know. It's strangers.
That's
so
right.
at the end of it, the issue is a community says, "Oh, hi, welcome, friend," and they come over and they try and brace one in. At that same ride that Jestina was at, there's a guy showed up named Drew. Nice guy. He shows
We had
up.
to cut his lock off of his bike.
His buddy
for him.
shows up. The bike key breaks inside the lock. Now, this is what I can say about our community. Despite I do
have
understand
pictures.
intimidation, the Todd was there. The Todd using PVC cutters cut through a chain lock, which is
he
insane.
is the Hulk.
He
I have
is.
a picture of like every person that was there for the ride, though, outside of just me and Carrie, because we were just standing to the side, went over to help this person. So like there's a picture of just a bunch of riders trying to help this one
So
person.
we cut their lock
That
off.
is also a new thing here, by the way.
What's that?
The community caring about people in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like that's what has to be.
Right.
So like if you show up and you're Jestina and let's say she doesn't go ride without either one of us, and chances are she's not going to see the guys you met because most of maybe Scott, but the rest of them are Reb guys. They don't really go out there much.
Yeah.
So like you may or may not see them out there. Chances are, unless you're like, I know Dale Boyd,
They'll
right?
just start screaming Dale's name every time
which
I'm
is
riding
kind
a
of
bike.
odd.
Yeah.
But like, whatever. That was there was one in there. My hand
I
was
know.
like-
I know. I was just waiting to see if anybody else caught it.
So if that's the situation, then you got to consider that idea. Maybe it's an idea that the community side of things, maybe the focus should not be on one particular person, group, feeling. It should or individual. It should be on a feeling.
That's right.
And that feeling should be making it comfortable and safe, which is what I do like about the new IMBA statement. Is it is or the Sorba statement? Sorry. It is more about that. It was more about making sure that everyone has opportunity. Even if there's DBs in the parking lot, it doesn't
Right.
matter. If
No.
those dudes are there.
You don't have to be their
girls.
best friend forever, right? Just make sure that they're comfortable that day.
That's right.
Whether it's they're getting there or they're leaving.
Right.
Like, hey, they might have just murdered the best ride they've ever had. And the first thing you want to tell somebody about is like another mountain biker.
Right.
Like, dude, I just PR'd the whole thing.
Right.
You get in your car, you call your wife or your spouse, they're not going to care.
Right.
But the other people in the parking lot might. So, like, I've always lived by that. Go introduce yourself. You don't have to offer them anything other than, hey, what's up? I ride bikes too. We have one common thing, right? We ride bikes.
That's the joy of it. And that's the kind of thing that I think is the takeaway is like we step into a lot of crazy situations and sets and locations. I mean, both of you do. But Jestina and I, a lot of times when we go into these things, we don't know what we're stepping into.
Right.
We don't know what the client situation is going to really be. Sometimes we're third party to the client. And by the time we walk in, so the thing that I try and do with us is I try and make sure that the two of us have some kind of like, we'll find something in common, at
Right.
least to lie my way through it. But you got to look for that stuff.
Well,
Be
and I
active
think
in
that we're talking about our local community, but this is the whole entire
It's
Sorba
everywhere.
region.
100%.
If you are riding a bike, you can take all of these advice and go do it. Because like Eric Hagen won our drawing, and he's an avid listener and supporter, but he is a great ambassador for the sport of mountain biking. Like
Dude just spits stoke. He just
he
like
is,
creates
dude.
it.
When you're around
Like,
him,
you feel
it's-
so good about
right.
yourself riding. It's incredible.
Yeah, and he's just there to make your day better. And like that's all. Like some people are like, he's so loud. He's so. It's like, okay, who cares?
Right.
Like, did he make people smile today? All right. Well, I don't care what else if he annoys you, I don't care. Like,
It's one of those things. If I go over it and I say it a lot, which is like I try and be extremely tolerant.
right.
Right. Maybe not sometimes at work, but I try and be very, very, and not with lactose. Hey, little dad jokes.
Oh man.
But I try and be as tolerant as humanly possible simply because I don't know the situation that person's in. What I know is I often don't get a lot of time to ride my bike. And if I can get out there and ride my bike and somebody else is in that same spot, maybe that's the exercise. And we've talked about this with our children, right? I've talked about it with myself. I suffer from extreme amounts of depression. In the past, if I hadn't gotten my diet under control, it was really dark. I would go to really bad places. But exercise plus changing my diet keeps my brain where it needs to be, right? It's the same way with our kids. But if imagine you're encouraging, we've talked about this, you're encouraging someone to go out there and have, was it 60 minutes a day?
Yeah, she was advised for 60 minutes for 5 days a week
All right, 60
Physical
minutes, 5 days
activity.
a week of exercise. Yeah,
outside.
outside.
That's a lot.
Because they're talking about sunlight again. Because the world's changing. They're coming back to saying your eyes need so much sunlight, especially children.
It's like the vitamin D. You need it.
It's vitamin D, but it's also like I forget what, it has to do with screen time and stuff. Like Apple just talked about on their stupid thing. Point being is, if she's going out there to play and she's constantly discouraged in play, she's not going to do it. And now you're greatly affecting the mental health the other way. So instead, just literally embrace the idea that everyone's there to ride, and who gives a crap?
Right. Who cares?
Like the one thing you have in common, even if you hate the brand they're on,
right? Who
it
cares?
Still follows the basic rules of physics. So if nothing else, you could at least be like, do you believe in physics and gravity? I do. Great. And if they don't believe in it, it doesn't matter if the earth is flat or round, they can believe whatever they want.
Right.
They can't deny gravity at some point.
Well,
right?
the earth can be flat, but there's still trails.
Vert's not real. That's what I tell myself when I'm climbing for 5 miles. Like, this is flat. It's really flat. It's flat. It's only flat.
You're not at an angle.
I think it's with every sport or hobby, though. Anything that's mentally taxing or physically taxing, it's really hard to break into because there's people you're intimidated. And
Well,
it's all
not
comes
just
back to that.
the mental and the physical. I think the other part of it too is it has elements of danger to it.
Oh, for sure.
So we had a pretty big issue with that in roller derby as well, where we'd have new people come, and if they weren't embraced well enough, they wouldn't come back because it's a terrifying and intimidating sport. So like with mountain biking, it's a little intimidating when I showed up and like I know all these people know how to ride only because I know that they're talking about the Reb, so they know how to ride well enough to go there, and they know where it's at, and they know these things. So I've not ridden a bike in 15
Who wasn't
years.
talking about it because we're going to have to kill him.
Remember, that wasn't being discussed.
I think it was Sandbag, Scotty Hottie, Gabe.
Oh my God, you guys! I'm joking. Everybody knows about it now.
But it's that same sort of mentality of like it's a little scary, and so if you're already like not feeling included, and then it's something that you could potentially get hurt on, you end up trusting more of yourself, and then you don't want to come back because you didn't feel like they would be there for you.
Well, this could be a question that Drew and I cannot answer, and I think that you've brought it up before, Drew. Is like women are more risk adverse than men. So
I
like
was literally about to ask this question.
Yeah, like
as a
do
mom.
you feel like as a mom your duty isn't to yourself, like us as dads, like they got a mom, like if we get hurt, but moms historically have been more like I got to be careful. I have a lot of things to take care of.
I don't think I am the best person to ask that question because I do things that are dangerous because I enjoy them.
Right.
My kids now have another mother that they could go to. So, I'm married to a
That's
woman
fair.
now. But honestly, to be quite honest, when I did the class, they did the jump class after that, and I have an injury on my foot, so it was starting to hurt. I didn't do it. The one thing I thought of is if I break my foot, what are we going to do at work?
Yeah.
That's literally where my brain went. It didn't go to my kids because I can break my foot and my kids will be fine.
Well, I mean, like we're here. We don't have to. I think it just goes back to like women have to bear children, right? Like to keep our we're here as a species to like populate the earth, right? Like men are like, well, I don't have to carry a child physically. I can reproduce without being able to walk, So like maybe.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's a fair point. It's a very male statement that I agree with to your point.
Right. Yeah.
Your point is double valid, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Your parking has been validated.
Because
twice.
I mean, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or Danny DeVito.
Yeah,
remember that
fair.
movie?
Oh yeah,
you can't get pregnant.
Yeah,
that was a good movie.
It was interesting.
I have not seen it.
I bet you can't watch
Merging
it now.
podcasts.
It probably cannot go back.
I think I don't know. It might be canceled.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I could make a statement in it to find a way to cancel it. That's my new favorite game because I have to do it at work. Is like, how do we get canceled? And then I'm like, oh, that way. Like I try and find the line.
We tested on this podcast, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, we sure do.
Is it like 7 ways to connect it or
it's
whatever?
Kevin Bacon's. Yeah, it's Kevin Bacon's 7 ways to get canceled. Or Kevin Bacon. What did he do? Well, bacon. It's pork. It offends the Jews.
Canceled.
Canceled.
And in Canada, they don't even call it that.
Right. It's a strip. That says stripper. It offends the Jews. I don't know.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Yeah, we
You
could do
guys
it
get
only
really
with Jews,
offended.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I could say whatever I need.
Yeah, Drew classifies himself as Jewish, so he can do it.
It's classification stuff. Mother freaking birthright, son.
My bad, Ari.
Classifies as Jew.
The classified. Yeah. I think it is an interesting conversation to have, having someone new to riding.
That's right.
And new to communities and new to trails have that brutal thing. What is it that you see, aside from like your boss pushing you towards it, not on purpose, but I did think you would enjoy it since you couldn't roller skate anymore. What do you think, looking at it now, is the issue? Because there's no women. There's none. Now, I talked about it before, like Phoenix, there was a lot, and that was awesome. There was more women involved in riding, and I think in other communities there may be. But according to Philip, across the board, it ends up balancing out. It's a mostly dude sport. Why do you think that is? Speaking for all women, go ahead.
Wow, that's a platform.
No, but why do you think, I mean, legitimately, why is it that it is so biased? I mean, what is the... Like derby, I understand, is, quote, a female sport. It's considered.
It is, but the only way, funny enough, the only way for that to really survive in this area is there tends to be a lot of co-ed teams, because derby is more prominent in the north, where they have the track derby or the bank derby. But I'm not for sure how to answer that. I maybe it could go into you don't see women doing dangerous, scary things. I don't think I can speak to that, because I go out of my way to do things that make me feel strong or that has an element of danger, because I find it to be something I enjoy. But people don't do that, and it could be society, it could be the region we live in. I'm not for sure, or it could just be ignorance. They may not know it's there.
I mean, do you think some of it, again, as we talked about, is the intimidation factor? I mean, Dale said the best thing last time that I re-listened to the podcast, and I laughed out loud because it's so true, which is like, here's a lone dude standing there like, hey, ladies, want to come ride bikes with me in the woods? You'd be like, no, not at all, sir.
Okay, well, in that context.
That's what it is, though.
That's what it is. What if you pulled up into that parking lot and there's not a group of guys that you can't say, what if you pull up there and you pull the Dale Boyd card and you're like, oh, you guys know Dale Boyd? And they're like, no. You want to, and what are you going to do either way? Are you going to feel uncomfortable?
You're going to question their credibility.
There's a guy that gets on the trail before or after you. Like maybe you take off first, but is that going to make you feel uncomfortable? Like in fairness, I realize I just
no.
That's the Jestina light bulb face.
No, it's true, because I've had there's women that have been there that I didn't know. The three of them that have been there that I didn't know, and they would go in the trail, and then I'm like, man, I can't just go in after them. Like that seems so creepy. So I would wait or do something different. Go right. You
guys don't ever before they go in. You don't ever consider just talking to them, just saying, hey, how often?
Also kind of creepy.
Did, but it is still kind of.
It is. Always think, as I was thinking about what to say, I was like, hey, do you guys ride here often? What kind of bikes do you ride?
What are we supposed to say?
Do your tires fall off quickly?
I will say this. I'll say this as an apology. There was I never saw her again, but I did not say this to her, and I did not give her lusty eyes, but there was a young lady
you
that
have
showed
lusty
up.
eyes?
All dudes have lusty eyes. You don't get to see them though.
Oh, thank God.
Awkward. As like mom and dad talking about the. She was extremely attractive, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, she's good looking. So later on, one of my buddies showed up and was like, dude, there is just a smoking hot girl out here. Well, that's not fair. That was inappropriate. Right. Like I'm saying, I apologize if that girl listens, meant she's not. But if she did, she might be of the 12%, or if any of. But at that point, I do have to apologize, because even saying that as a guy doing that, I'm literally, no one heard me but another guy, but I'm still propagating that same vibe. It's not to say that I can't call a woman attractive, but that's the wrong spot to do it. At least let her leave and be like, did you see that girl that rode here? She was very attractive. We should stalk her. Where's her house?
Yeah, because when join Samba, please give us your address. Joking.
No, that's awful.
That's terrible. But it's whenever you say it to
my address to join something. Yes, you do.
Yeah, you can leave it off. You can leave it off there. We'll find it. But it's like we are just inherently that's our thing, right? It doesn't have to be an attractive person to ride a bike. I have a ton of ugly friends that ride bikes. Right, dudes?
They're all Rev members. Shout out to all you dudes.
Right. But it's just what happens, right? It's also because you and I are close friends, but a lot of people that meet in the parking lot, we're not that good of friends. So it's he gets out of his truck, you're like, what? How do I break the ice? I still want to talk to him. I mean, maybe I know him. Hey, dude, there's a hot girl here. It's a great segue conversation, right? Into anything. So
But it's not what we've got. What I'm saying is like, I do believe there's a little bit of responsibility. I'm not saying you shouldn't say that. I appreciate if I go look at mountains, I go, oh my God, the view is gorgeous.
Right.
Same idea. I appreciate it. Doesn't mean I'm going to go
ahead, finish that thought.
climb the mountain.
Or jump off. Right.
But I'm going to at least just stand there and appreciate it for a minute. Point being is like, we still have responsibility that maybe one of the things we could do is help mitigate, if it is that many dudes, mitigate that culture down a little bit to be like, all right, wait a second, move that aside, appreciate him as a rider. I'm just saying that's raw. Like, that's not stuff that we normally talk about, but I don't give a shit, and I'm going to say it because I was wrong for it.
Right.
Because I do want to see more people ride. So it doesn't necessarily fix the problem of you being intimidated. I'm still a dude wearing like weird, and sometimes dudes in spandex look weirder to me, right? But you have this person dressed up that way. But I do think that down the road, and it's the same way with women finding a little bit of trust in men.
Yeah.
That's also a dangerous statement. That makes me uncomfortable to even say that. But it shouldn't be that way. So we have to find a way to get to that point so that we can actually go ride and not worry about like, oh, dude, this is going to age like milk for some people. But every bicycle ride, the dude is like, oh, it's going to be a penthouse forum pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's not,
it's
right?
Not.
We're riding bikes.
Yeah.
No one cares. It's gross. You're sweaty. You smell like socks.
Right.
You do smell like socks.
It is true.
But I
I'm
think
just saying we have to, it's reality.
But it's the whole thing, just back to the sort of mission statement, is like making bikes accessible to everyone. I don't even know the exact mission statement, but that's it. Whatever.
We like it.
We don't work for Sorbus. Phil does. So, but I think it's the same with women as it is for younger people. Like, I want to know why younger, mid-20s people with pure athleticism and endurance don't mountain bike.
Well,
like,
Jestina's in her 30s.
Well, I'm saying, like, it doesn't just have to...
33?
33.
Jesus age.
It's almost like that idea of what can we do? What can we do to make mountain biking more relevant in areas that it's not?
Yeah.
Like, our demographic is what, 35 to 55-year-old men?
Yeah, we've gone up a little bit higher.
Yeah. So see, we're aging.
We're aging like milk.
Aging like milk. I was going there. But it's now has been like a task of mine. Maybe that's my new goal, is to like, how can I get more Bugs age people mountain biking?
Well, I'm with you, and that's my point about I'd like to see.
Do you think the women, I'm sorry to interrupt you again. I do it all the time. But do you think that women, maybe you can answer this better than
all
Drew,
women, please.
All women have less hobbies than men, and that's another part of it? Like,
Yes.
I always fight with Casey about it because she has 0.
But it's almost like they have... I'm not generalizing because everyone's different. Like, they have no drive to have a hobby, either because they feel like they can't. That's a big excuse or example, is like, I just don't have time for it. You have time for anything if you try hard enough. That's why I do CrossFit at 5 a.m. But I do feel like society has driven this sort of, especially if you're a mother, you do the children. Like, children are your thing. That's what you have. So you don't have time outside of that. Or, not that this is relevant to today's age, because most families, both parents work, because you kind of have to. But it's still the mindset, unfortunately, of like, oh, well, now you have the house chores that you have to get done. So there's not really that freedom for you, or you don't get that luxury, is what I'm going to say. But the other side of it too is probably, to go back to your first point, the fear of something occurring. Maybe not always for children, but to answer your question a second ago, I guess I didn't consider, I will say that I have no intentions of riding my bike on a trail by myself for a while. Now, if I were to, I would probably invest in some way to protect myself, because you're surrounded by, it's not even like I can get off and run. Right. I would have nowhere to like brace, or, I mean, I could climb a tree, but you're kind of stuck. So it does have that sort of fear element of, what would I do if something happened?
I get it. I've been scared at South before by myself, so I get it.
So, I mean, like, and for women, I feel like that is heightened because there is that sort of vulnerability. Like, I know that I'm stronger than I've ever been before, and it's still that fear of, like, if a guy were to corner me, I could not physically probably win that.
So wait, you're saying that males are stronger than females?
I'm not going to restate my statement. The only, like, when you were speaking, my light bulb moment was, I used to skate 10 miles a day. I would go skate in the morning. I would go at...
that didn't bother you? You didn't feel like that was...
But I had a moment. Like, because I went to Loxley Municipal Park, because I live across the bay, has a paved trail at their park. So it's an open park.
Loxley is a small community, like a very small community.
It's very tiny.
Safe. There's crime around it, but I don't think Loxley is considered to be a high crime state.
I don't think so. And they have like this like baseball field, a really big play. It's an open area.
The park is
That's for our friends in Canada.
Yeah. Yes. So I used to go there and skate 10 miles every morning. And there was one morning I was doing it and a homeless guy was sleeping under one of the pavilions. And it's dark because it's 4:50 when I got there because I used to go when Jennifer went to work. So I would do that and he got up and started moving and I left. Like that day I didn't do 10 miles because I had that moment of if he were chasing me, I am attached to wheels. So yes, I can skate on this trail, but everything else is gravel. So what would I do?
That's a fair point. I think as you get better on a bike, you know you can outrun that fat son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, I could outbike them, sure.
But you are still trapped. There is an element that if you get tangled up in your bike, clipless, whatever it may be, there is a chance that you get tangled up and things go wrong. I think it's a valid point. So that's back to my statement of like community. Mm-hmm. So if we don't make it feel like, I think maybe, let me ask this. Not asking you to speak for all women, as only as Jestina, and if maybe someone relates to that, then so be it.
Okay.
Because that's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
But if we were out there, let's say it's me and Dale, you don't know us, do your best to go this route, and we're out there and we're being bros and laughing and do whatever we do. But if we were to walk over or see you get ready to ride, like, hey, we're going to go ride, we'll go party pace or whatever. If you want to ride so you're not by yourself, if we set it more approachable like that, like we're going to go out and ride, you're welcome to ride with us. At least that way you wouldn't be alone.
If you said it just like that and you came up to me and I did not know you, I would probably ride with you.
Okay.
Because to me it feels like even if I was scared of you, I could see you.
Well, the other side of that has always been like the dating thing is like if you meet at a place, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to picking somebody up, then they know where you live.
I would let you guys go first. I would be in the back.
That's what I was about to say. So
you guys, because I don't know. I mean, I feel like that would be the situation even if I was a dude and it was other dudes. It'd be like, yeah, you guys go ahead because I don't know your pace. You guys know each other. Obviously, you know each other's pace. You know where to go in line. And I'll just be in the back. And then by the time that we're done, I would assume we would know each other better because I made jokes to Carrie the whole time I was riding. So.
I think to all of it, even younger people, is making, it goes back to that statement. It's just making it fucking accessible. Right. Like that's the key. If you don't make it accessible, it's not going to do anything.
Or comfortably accessible.
Right. So the one thing to close it all up to where we were initially through the whole statement was like, if somebody comes on and bitches and complains about that stuff, understand, yeah, maybe the trails haven't been as perfect as you want them, or maybe the parking lot I've had this before, isn't as great as you want it to be, or maybe it's confusing to get there. The reality of the situation is there's so many other factors that some of us are working on that some things might get missed from time to time. Instead of bitching about it, propose a solution, or at least get out there and try something. That's going to go a lot further because guess what? You'll get out there, you meet people in the community, suddenly community works, and everybody's working together. That's the bigger key, but we have to drop that stuff.
Right.
New riders have an advantage. They have a major advantage. They don't know what bikes cost yet.
That's right.
Because when Dale shows up with the Chrome Horse 3000, the Chrome Stallion 3000, Dale has to put on a show. Dale can't just.
I'm sorry. Is that like a really flashy tag that you're driving around?
Yeah, I mean it is. I've said that before. Like when I wheeled my bike off at a race, everybody stares at it, and I looked at the guys I was with.
It commands attention.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, I can't suck now. Like
they expect something from you.
I have a Gorilla Gravity. I'm way over biked for the area. I wanted a USA made bike. That's why I bought it. There's only a few companies that do that.
Right.
So I have a bike that's over biked. Somebody could look at it and see that I don't send big gnarly stuff. That I ride hard and I ride my own way. But people could look at that and judge it. You don't know any better. People see what you're like. Oh, she's on Specialized, Crush, Plush, whatever it's called.
It's a Specialized.
Chisel,
it's blue and orange.
What is it?
It's a Chisel.
Chisel. That's it.
Thank you, because people are like, "Oh, what's your bike?" I don't know. It looks.
Pitch. We don't know.
Pitch.
It's
It's a pitch.
The only thing that we can judge you on, that someone could judge you on, is like, you got 3 gears.
Yeah.
I have 3 on one side and 11.
But I think that what we've done for her, we've done this for her, not you specifically, but we have tried to like teach the community to not judge people, right? Through the whole zero drop thing like, that was our whole entire goal is like, don't judge people. But then again, I get caught up in the whole, like, I should take the criticism sometimes, but I just don't like it when I get criticized for doing things that I'm trying. Like when I'm talking about like trail stuff, like the community stuff is going well, I think, and to a certain extent. Obviously we could always do more, but like, man, just please don't, this is a thing to everybody. Don't criticize your trail people and not do anything, or don't offer a solution. Like you said, please just offer a solution. And I understand maybe you just don't know. Maybe you're just asking a question, but follow that question up with a solution. Like, hey, the trails aren't very clean lately. I noticed, but I'm willing to go look at them. Is there any reason why I shouldn't?
Oh, we've said this before out at the Reb. In all fairness, and I'll say something about it in a second, but in all fairness, we have a rider. God, I hope he gets better. Mm-hmm. Todd Hall, shout out to him. Todd had a bad wreck. You know, just prayers, thoughts, whatever you do, please just send him his way. He's beat up a little bit. Maybe listen to the podcast finally. Who knows? But hopefully Todd recovers very quickly. But Todd was like, look, I don't do a lot of, Todd has some stuff that just prevents him, back injury, whatever. He just doesn't do a lot of the work. But Todd has always said, I will pitch in more money to offset that cost. Yeah. So even that, even on your local trails, be like, hey, I've got $5 in Venmo. If somebody will just go trim the slappers on it, I guarantee you somebody will go out there who was thinking about doing it anyway, and now they just made $5, $10. You can contribute that way. Mm-hmm. So now that's direct currency that's going right back in. You're helping the community. That works too. You don't have to just take it from the IMBA funds. It doesn't have to come. You don't need a whole trail meeting to clip stuff. Right. You can just offer somebody some cash and let them go.
Well, and I think maybe I can speak for you. I'm going to anyway, but
it happens.
So
married.
Yeah. So I have changed my outlook on like, damn, all of our money's going somewhere else. We're not getting anything out of it. But now we've been traveling a lot. We've been doing things. We are getting something out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we are getting the other trail systems. We're getting other things. Like, we have to just resign ourselves to understand that we have what we have, be happy with it, make the community badass. And that's what we're doing. That's what I think we've been trying to do. But I'm just saying, like, you've changed your outlook on IMBA and the money situation a little bit as well.
Sponsor sent us a text, and I had it.
I know, I got that too. I just ignored it.
I was freaking out that maybe it was like,
you guys are idiots.
I had a client call, and then that Toby sent, it was Toby from Dirt Coaster, and then somebody else, and I was like, oh my God, what if I accidentally went live on another client?
Oh man.
Like, how horrific would that be?
Well,
people watching OWA, and suddenly it's like two idiots like, we got these shirts we're giving away, and then the people watching OWA are like, y'all, they got shirts.
We got to find that private OWA group.
Why they called a rebellion? Let's get them.
Let's get them. Why do they have access?
Is there anything you feel like you need to add to this conversation? Is there anything you would like to add to this conversation?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Get on with it.
Without being fully aware of everything you guys do, is there any sort of like, I don't know how to ask it, like gathering of, are you interested in mountain biking? You're talking about bringing in more women to feel safe and comfortable. Do you guys do any sort of meet and greets that's not always like, we're going to go ride a trail? Because that's a big step. What if they don't have a bike? What if they don't know what type of bike to buy? I'm wearing a helmet that you laughed about because it's one I had. I know it's not a good one because I recognize helmet value in Derby, so I know it's probably a shit helmet.
No, it's fine.
It's not going to protect my brains as well as others would. I get it.
I had one too.
But I'll get there.
Too. I still have one.
Yeah, I still have mine too.
I just put stickers on it so it looked like
it's not a judgment thing. It was a
but
joke
my
for
point
him.
is, like, do you guys do anything of that, or just riding in circles to teach people the proper way to be on their bike as a community?
Well, we as proud sponsors endorsed by Dirt Coaster Academy cannot teach people to ride in circles. I'm just kidding. No, it's a good point. So here's my thing. Are you asking that if there were a meetup that's no ride, just to say, hey, would you like to learn about mountain biking? Come hang out with us, and then we can show you some stuff? No, and that's a damn good idea, because at least then you could bring the women that do ride could bring their bikes so that people could feel different things,
and they could see that women do it.
You got your bike on a happy surprise, but the reality of the situation is, I guarantee you, if you would go ride Carrie's bike, for example, you'd be like, I'm never going back to.
No, listen, I've looked at everybody else's bikes, and I love my bike. I will not ride anybody else's bike because I'm pretty sure I will love them.
Oh yeah, that's
so. I'm gonna stick with the one I have.
My point is, though, if you had the opportunity, I think Casey's new bike, those kind of things. Like, if you had the opportunity, it's not a bad idea whatsoever.
and then just
Carrie.
let
I
people.
think it's a good idea.
Get busy, Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie, we're gonna need.
But
your
I
help.
think that it would be
Carrie
beneficial
Jestina.
if
That's who's
Yeah.
going to do it.
it can't just be women though.
no, but
like-
we can do it. Like
Yeah,
we'll be there
creepy
too.
in the
Yeah.
woods.
No, okay.
No, we'll be
Weirdo.
there too. We can set up
Just
a whole
slowly walk
thing.
out of the woods all together. Be like,
I
how many
guess-
men are out
I
there?
guess,
I don't know.
This is.
You'll find out around the third turn.
Yeah, just take a lap around the track, lady.
you might want to take some donuts though to get them away from you when they come out.
Or a picture of Miley Cyrus. Either way.
That's what does it for y'all. Seriously.
No, I think she's disgusting. But there's a certain guy named the Todd.
I was like, is it Bug? I bet it's Bug.
No, it's not Bug.
Hey
Bug likes classy ladies.
does this turn you on?
Hey, Todd, it's Miley Cyrus calling. I'm on Ride the Rebellion podcast. Let's go party.
Sound more like Bane. I came in like a wrecking ball.
Not nice. We are not nice people. We're like the Seinfeld of podcasting.
Did you see the Miley
Come ride
meme
bikes
that I
with us.
sent?
Oh, yeah, it was delightful.
Miley sounds like a DT Swiss hub.
Yeah, it was good.
That's good.
It's pretty good.
So, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Actually, no, that is a great idea, and I think that I've mistaken having these pancake rides and group rides as
What does
an event.
pancake ride mean?
So I had
You guys have pancakes?
No, it was an event that we had. Yeah,
She's gluten free. So make
I'll make my own pancakes. Not right now though, because I'm out doing Drew and
See,
keto.
This is why we can't have women. I'm joking, but I think that I've mistaken like group rides as these kind of events that other people would be willing to come and learn about or get to know the community. Where maybe it just needs to be like a educational
an open house.
thing, like
It's an
Yeah.
open house.
Yeah,
That's
an
what
open
it is.
house.
It's a meet and greet, essentially.
greet.
Yeah.
You have questions?
Well,
Come hang out with
we
us.
are nearing celebrity status, so there is a meet and greet
Oh, yeah, you
available.
can get autographs.
Do you guys have to get Sharpies? Certain
We'll get the
colors per
VIP.
person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll sign Drew's name. He can sign mine on
Yeah.
everything. It'll be
Yeah.
great.
That's the only way it's
the
acceptable.
double D.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just put down Dale Boyd Sports Management on everything.
It's so good. The Dale Boyd Sports Management.
DBSM.
S&M.
SNM. That's a great idea. And maybe we should
I
test it.
like that idea.
And then anybody other community that tests it, it's not a bad idea just simply because then it does make it open for anyone. Mm-hmm. And in spirit of what we talked about with Philip last week, in spirit of what you've been very nice. I put you on the spot, but I figured you're used to it.
I'm fine.
She's on another podcast about movies that she's never seen.
I'm constantly on the spot. It's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't raise my hand to that because I feel like it could almost be like a ladies' time joke.
Yeah.
Or it could just be because I'm married to a woman.
I don't know.
You just were looking for a official kid. Yeah, so it's a good idea. I think we should probably, at an hour and 12 minutes now, done pretty well for this episode.
I was a little bit fiery about it. I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, it's good. It directly goes with what we talked about last week. So
It's
we
called
just
passion.
summed up.
It's called passion,
Yeah, we just summed up last week's podcast.
basically. If you have any thoughts, comments, whatever, head over to Ride the Rebellion on all the socials, except for Twitter, because we don't tweet. But if you want to head over there and fire it over to us. If you haven't had a chance, if you go to Facebook and join the private group, as we mentioned, there's cool T-shirts that are one-offs and waffles to not only win the T-shirt, but also get some money for it, essentially what happens. We also have, we're going to try and put some limited edition content in there. So it's just for that group, lives and other things. We'll see what happens as it goes. And then, as we said, we're going to try this open house thing. We're going to schedule
that's
it out.
a good idea.
It does
like it.
appear that women like long scheduled events, though. They need plenty of time to plan.
We're gonna have a.
In case they have the children's. You
we gotta
gotta
have a shark coochie board, probably.
Yeah, charcuterie board for sure.
all of the other guys are gonna show up and be like, the fuck is this?
No,
Yeah,
they're
that's
gonna, and then they're gonna eat it.
And then they're gonna eat it because it's delicious.
Man, this sausage is pretty good.
Right. So also we could go to. We do have ridetherebellion.com. You can get a bunch of shirts there.
Yep.
You can
we
order
did.
stuff.
We had,
We've had some
shout
people.
out to, dang, I was going to say his name. I'll say it next week.
We'll see him on Friday.
Bill?
Hopefully.
Is that his name? Sir,
Michael
you bought
Buffer.
It's Belcher.
You bought a shirt. You bought the Chris special. I will look up your name, but thank you for buying the shirt.
Absolutely,
I very
thank
much
you.
appreciate it. So does Dale. And so does Chris, because that's the most requested shirt by Chris, who only wears black. when
And
he's
we're going to
riding.
add some other designs on there soon, so you can pick up some of your favorite stuff from there.
But if you want the limited stuff, you got to join the group.
That's right. Limited stuff is only going to be in our group.
That's right. Short runs.
Very short.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Just remember what Dale Boyd says.
Help out with your local trails, damn it.